Yes, guys, today we're diving into why high output men must build a strong, lean, commanding body and how to actually do that when your life is already full with business, family, and pressure. If you're a man who's successful on paper, but your body has slipped, your energy has dipped, and you feel your edge fading, then this video is exactly for you. Because look, when your standards drop physically, your clarity, your confidence, your decisiveness drop with it, and you start surviving. Life, instead of leading it, becomes a game of survival. And in this video, I'm going to walk you through exactly how to rebuild a strong, lean, high-performing body in the busiest years of your life. So here's what we're going to cover. We're going to look at how to use your diary as the engine of your physique. We're going to look at how to train with ruthless efficiency instead of wasting hours in the gym. How to manage your recovery, your energy, and your hormones so you actually feel empowered again. And most importantly, how to shift your identity from the I'm too busy and getting older mindset to one which is more like I'm more capable, I'm more dangerous, and I am going to get results beyond what I've ever experienced again. I'm Julian Titanium, transformation coach, former world record holding powerlifter, and I'm a 5-time former bodybuilding champion as well. I have a BSc honours in sports psychology with a postgraduate diploma in strength and conditioning science and an NSCA certified strength qualification too. I actively coach. Over the last decade, I've helped men all over the world build elite physiques, sharpen their mindsets, and create systems that led them to perform at a high level in business, family, and life. I've been coaching now for more than 15 years, which literally blows my mind. So look, if you're ready to level up, not just in the gym, but in every area of your life, then you're 100% in the right place. You're on the right channel. And before we dive in, drop a comment below with your age and what you're juggling right now, what your main challenges are, whether it's business, career, family, or all of the above. I read every single comment and I use them to shape future videos for high output men watching this just like yourself. And so if this is the kind of content that really speaks to you, hit like, hit subscribe, so that way you don't miss out on the next deep dive that we go into. So let's get into it. Okay, cool. So why high output men must build a strong, lean, commanding body and how to achieve it inside a high pressure, time constrained lifestyle. Okay, so here's the problem, right? When your life expands, business, family, stress, responsibility, your physical standards collapse and your energy drops, physique softens, clarity fades, your confidence weakens, your identity blurs, you start surviving and not leading. Now, the consequence of this for high output individuals, executives, business owners, so on and so forth, it's not about body fat. And I really want to emphasize this. I did a post recently, actually, which talked about the importance of becoming a fitter, leaner, stronger version of yourself and the merits that has towards leadership inside your own life and the people that you are surrounded by and the people that you are responsible for. And I had a couple of comments, people saying, what does getting leaner or stronger have to do with being a better man to serve those around you, or words to that effect. And the principle that some people who are completely outside of this way of thinking fail to recognize is the psychological requirements, the mental skills that one must learn in order to become stronger, leaner, fitter, more healthy, require him to become more disciplined, to operate from an identity of fortitude, to have more resilience. And these are all character traits that obviously bleed out into every other arena in life. And so it's really about who you become when you lack that physical power, all right? This is the flip side. So when your body declines, you lose out on authority. You lose that conviction in the way you make decisions. Your self-belief dips. You lack clarity of thought. Your resilience goes down the toilet. Your sexual confidence starts to dwindle. Your leadership and your presence also dwindles. And ultimately, what this comes down to is a soft body creates a soft mind. The antithesis of that is a strong body has more authority attached to the individual. That person has better conviction. They make better decisions. They are more self-assured. They have better self-belief. They think more clearly. They are more resilient. They are more confident in all contexts. and their leadership shines through because they have become leaders of their own lives in order to attain a higher level of fitness. And so there is a correlation here. A soft body creates a soft mind. A strong body requires a strong mind. So why high pressure performance men feel this more? Well, at this point, you would have built a big life. You hold real responsibilities and people depend on you. But without a strong, lean, powerful physique, you can't show up with the intensity that your life demands. A high output life requires a high output body. And this isn't just in the way that your energy shows up, right? It's as much as your capacity to get huge amounts of workload done. Think about when you're unwell. Think about when you are feeling sick, when your energy dwindles, when you lack that fitness to get the jobs that you normally do done. You feel that gap. You really quickly feel it, and you feel disenfranchised. You feel unempowered. You feel at a loss, in an inability to actually get the work that you normally would done. And that sucks. That's a horrible feeling. And so the advantage of a commanding physique is clear. When you build a strong, lean, disciplined body, everything upgrades. You think more sharply, you make better decisions, all the things that we just discussed, better mood, better leadership, better confidence, higher drive, better presence. Your body actually becomes your competitive edge. Now, on that, I once did a post a while ago which went ultra viral, probably the most viral post I did. It was like something like 20 million views on Instagram alone, and it also went mad on TikTok. And it was using an audio clip from, I can't remember which speaker it was, frankly, off the top of my head, but it was talking about how it was words to the effect of, if a man can't, look after his physique and be strong, then, what good is he? And it was a very kind of intentionally polarizing statement. And in my caption, I made an adaptation because the audio itself was not completely congruent the way I think. But I do believe that there isn't a man out there who won't be a better man for getting in great shape. It's not that one is required to be in great shape to be a great man. That's just obnoxious thinking. But I'm immovable on this idea that you take any man out there and his contribution to society, to his family, to his own personal development will be that much greater for being in better shape. And so we often think about the point of contention that I was getting was, but name your preferred favorite billionaire isn't in great shape. And my point stands. Okay, he would be an even better businessman, philanthropist, whatever, if he was in better shape, because he would have a competitive edge through better fitness, better clarity of thought, better resilience, all of the above list there. So, pain of not reclaiming your body when life gets super, super busy and your responsibilities rise is you will keep drifting physically. And your stress will worsen, your energy will collapse, your confidence dies, your motivation begins to dwindle, self-respect erodes, your execution drops, your presence dilutes, and you become a man who is technically successful, but optimally, who knows, but internally defeated. And the reason I double asterisked and bracketed the word optimally there was because, further to my previous points, take a super successful guy and you can make him more successful. Pick your metric, I think, across any domain by getting him into phenomenal shape. He will simply perform better for longer across the board. Immovable on that. So it's an identity problem. And most men quietly shift into this mindset of, I'm older now, I don't have time anymore, this is just life. The assumption here being you acquire more responsibility and your stresses rise and all the rest of it as you get older. And you get into this mindset of this is just life. And this is the death of masculine momentum. You have to shift from I'm declining to I'm now more capable than ever. And this ties a little bit to last week's mastermind with age being the excuse for many, many people. So why high output men can transform faster? Well, men with pressure do better with structure because, you value your time more. You don't have time to mess around in the gym. You value efficiency. You value standards. You actually have real motivation. You understand the value here of better fitness towards better performance and a higher level of resilience to keep doing what you are doing so well for a longer period of time and to do it better. And you understand the consequences of not maintaining a good level of fitness. So as your responsibilities and what's required of you rises, so too must your physical and mental fitness. And so how do we do this?
Well, here's the framework for the high pressure lifestyle. To build an elite physique under extreme pressure, you need diary mastery, efficiency training, energy, and hormonal optimization. And this is the difference between surviving and becoming unstoppable. You really need to shift out of that survival mode, and you need to be aggressive in shooting for phenom status mode. Talked about this a couple of weeks ago with a few of the clients here inside the program on one of the weekly coffee and catch-up sessions, how I recently had an experience whereby I caught myself out in a little bit of a survival mode, and I spoke to my mentor, and we very quickly got fired up with an aggressive assault on becoming phenomenal. And that, I believe, is the best antidote to the slow drift of settling into a survival mindset. You've got to be aggressive. You've got to counter it with forces 10x what you're currently dealing with. So pillar one, diary mastery. Your diary is now your physique. Okay. Without structure, you can't win. You need scheduled training blocks, scheduled meal structure, scheduled sleep windows, zero negotiation, and zero randomness. If it's in the diary, it happens. If it's not, it won't. You have to adopt that mindset. Because you're not 20 anymore. You can't, you haven't got your responsibilities are so packed that it will always be easy to overlook getting in the gym. And the gym is at the base of this entire process. Your whole sense of self, your whole energy, your strength, your fitness relies upon you making time and prioritizing that gym time. It is absolutely fundamental. And here's the irony. I used to, as a teenager, kind of look a little bit disparagingly towards guys obsessed in the gym. This is the irony of the whole situation. I'm now, have been that guy for 20 years. But everything that's good in my life, and I'm sure many here can attest to that, it derives from what I've built up through focusing on the gym. And whenever I feel things slip, I know that what I need to do is prioritize time again to focus on my fitness development. So why this changes everything? Structure equals control. Control equals confidence. Confidence shifts your identity, and identity then leads back to execution. If you become the person who always executes, that is your identity. It's then a given. So your diary is the foundation and the biggest predictor of your future. I love this, okay? Your current situation is a reflection of your diary 6 months ago. It works the same in reverse. Hormozy talks about this, right? You look at anybody, what they're doing in life, business, relationships, you name it, fitness, their physique currently. It is the product of what they were doing, how they were filling their diary 6 months ago. But be that consciously or unconsciously, intentionally or by accident. Everyone on this call right now is simply in a position which reflects their diary 6 months ago. Pick your amount of time, right? 3 months ago, 6 months ago. It is a reflection of your diary up to this point. And so equally, the biggest predictor of your future is, what does your diary look like now? Well, if you're not prioritizing gym time, don't expect your physique to change for the better. So pillar two, high efficiency training. You quite literally do not have the time to arse around in the gym. I wanted to use better words, but if it's going on YouTube, probably got to avoid that. Therefore, you need intelligent allocation. You need to focus on 50 to 70-minute sessions, absolute max. Prior to this call, I had another call with a client, and I had to get my session done. It's a 10-minute walk to the gym, 10 it back, a little bit of chit-chat with the staff and whatnot. I had to get the session done in 50 minutes. It was a back session. I literally did not have time to arse around. It was an outstanding session. If I compare that session to how perhaps I would have trained in my 20s before I had a business to run, a family, and all the rest of it, responsibilities, that could have been a 2-hour session. Now, which one was more productive? I honestly can tell you that today's session was one of the best back sessions I've done this year. It was so intentional. It was 5 different supersets. I stayed within a 5 to 8 rep range. And I pushed maximally. I did 2 sets on each. That was it. 2 sets. No fluff. Just pure meat and potatoes. No wasted time or energy. 3 to 4 days a week. The ideal sweet spot for me is 4 or 5 days. But 3 to 4 can be okay if you program it correctly. Head compounds and joint-friendly isolations, you do not have the time or scope to be adding to your injury list. Talked about this in a recent post. extra video time, extra whinging to your wife, extra stress, extra lack of sleep. I know that's an oxymoron, but you know what I'm getting at. And it's about progression over chaos, intensity over volume, long-term durability over ego. You train to progress systematically, not to waste time. I'll read that again. You train to progress systematically, not to waste time. You have to be measured in your approach. You don't have the time to waste, whether that's the duration of the session or to waste a session. If you're only getting in 3 sessions particularly, every single session has to count. So the training identity shift, stop training like you're 22, train like a professional. You need precision, progression, structure, joint protection, and a strategy. It's business level thinking applied to your body. And on a broad scale, it generally means doing less, but doing it better. Again, I'll read that again. Doing less, but doing it better. Cannot stress that enough. A lot of the time, people's solution to their fitness goals when they're not getting the results they want is they pile more on. Okay, when you pile more on, it detracts from everything else that you could be doing well. Whether that's impeded recovery, or whether that's just literally less energy reserved for the stuff that actually moves the needle. Generally speaking, people are already doing too much badly. This is a classic one. People want to develop deltoids. What do? They chuck more volume on. And you look at their technique on their lateral raises, on their reverse flies, on their front raises. They never even train delts. They're hitting traps. They're going through scapular elevation, scapular retraction, scapular protraction. It's all just rhomboids and trap work. Zero delt, zero stabilization of the shoulder, nothing going on for the deltoids. And they just chuck on more. Now, more of the same crap does not equate to better results. It just equates to more fatigue. So on a broad scale, it generally means doing less, but doing it better. How can you become more sniper in your approach? All right, this is a really important one. This is where people on YouTube start, just giving me loads and loads of crap. So here it is, guys. Okay. Energy, recovery, and there's that word, hormonal optimization. There's a joke here about hormones and how do you make a hormone. I'm sure you know the rest. This is where most high output men collapse. All right. We go through both of these different categories here. First of all, sleep. High output men. I know guys that I work with, really, really senior guys who are surviving on 3 or 4 hours of sleep until they start working with me. Blood sugar regulation, stress, low caffeine dependency, sunlight, hydration, steps, micronutrients. Now, what does that actually mean? It means they're not getting enough sleep. They're overstressed. They fail to order life and remove stress. Blood sugar regulation, they're just surviving on sugar highs, which immediately cause crashes and then replenishing with more sugar, and it's a vicious cycle. Caffeine dependency, they need a lot to get not a lot of response. Sunlight is lacking. They're in offices all day. They're in airplanes all day. They're not getting out and breathing in the fresh air enough. Hydration. Do I need to say any more about this? When you get super busy, it's so easy to overlook drinking and actually start to see the advantages of it because you spend less time going to the loo and all the rest of it. But no, it wreaks havoc for your focus, for your energy, for your recovery. The list goes on. Steps, again, sedentary lifestyle, desk work, meetings, planes, travel, micronutrients. It's quick fixes. And people forget that actually what they eat matters. Understatement of the year. So when you fix these things, when you get better sleep, when you reduce your stress, when you actually regulate your blood sugar with more appropriate meals, when you reduce your caffeine intake and get better sleep as a result, when you get more sunlight, when you hydrate better, when you get moving more, when you eat better foods, the right quantities, you end up with a sharper mind, better mood, better performance, more drive, more discipline, more confidence, and energy becomes the multiplier of your output across all domains. Now, from a hormonal perspective, if you address the previous mentioned lifestyle factors and you still experience low energy, low mood, your recovery sucks, you have that lack of vigor, no aggression, your libido is down the toilet, and you have lacking drive to really succeed in the gym, here's what I advise, guys. Get your bloods checked, as there may be reasonable cause for hormonal intervention in specific cases. So what does that mean? What am I really getting at here? Older guys, I say older, we're talking, 25, 30 plus, naturally start to encounter a reduction in testosterone, natural testosterone production, But in alignment with that, and the overriding, much more significant factor here is a failure to actually tick off that list on the left, to actually address their lifestyle. If you go and get a testosterone test, which is so accessible now across the globe, it's become much more accessible, much more known about. It used to be something that was reserved for 60-plus-year-olds. And it shows that you have low testosterone, but your sleep is crap. You have super high stress. Your blood sugar regulation is all over the place. You depend too much on caffeine. You're not drinking enough. You're not training well. You're not getting enough steps. Your food intake is garbage. Then that is most likely why you have low testosterone. And you can probably fix those issues by bringing all those things into alignment. If you do those things, that is step one, and you still experience low testosterone, and you still experience low energy, mood, recovery, vigor, and libido, then there's probably a viable case for you to look into getting TRT prescribed. Okay. Now, that is it. From a perspective here of performing well as a high performer, if that is your focus, if you have a high level of responsibilities, then testosterone replacement therapy for you, if you've addressed all the lifestyle factors, may be a viable route, and actually not going down that road may be detrimental to your health. Okay? TRT is not you running steroid cycles. They are two completely different things. Yes, they use the same chemical base, testosterone, but eliminate this mindset of it being bad. It is bad if you don't need it. It is absolutely appropriate if you are deficient. So, some things there to think about. I'm not encouraging you to just take TRT for the sake of it, but once you've alleviated all these different factors here on the left, and you're still finding you have low testosterone, and you still want to perform high across the board, and you still want to build more muscle and preserve your youth and get stronger and have more energy, then go speak to a doctor. I don't think I could be any more clear. Okay. The high pressure reality, your body is not optional. If you want to lead better, earn more, think clearer, I hate that. Why did I write that? Think more clearly. Feel more grounded, make better decisions, be more present, have more confidence, and have more power. You need to reinstate physical excellence. You have to become a physical phenom. Stop looking at it as this superficial endeavor. No, you will have that much more presence, that much more leverage, that much more charisma, energy, capacity if you become physically excellent. So the executive physique, this is not about aesthetics. It's really about identity, and it's about performance. And it's about going from soft and reactive and overwhelmed to strong, structured, decisive, confident, commanding, resilient. And this is how you reclaim yourself.
So that's the framework. Now, if you are a high output man, your body is not optional. When you let your standards slide physically, your energy drops, your confidence fades, your decision making, it just gets weaker, it gets softer, and you slowly disconnect from the man that you know you are supposed to be. But when you build a strong, lean, powerful, disciplined body, even in high pressure situations, when you're time constrained, everything in your life upgrades. You think more clearly. You make sharper decisions. You have more presence when you walk into a room. You have more certainty, more resilience, more conviction with your decisions. And that's the point of all of this. It's not just about abs and vanity. It's about authority. It's about self-respect. It's about inner sense of power and control. And if this hits home, make sure that you hit the like, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment below telling me the biggest bottlenecks that you're currently dealing with right here, right now, in this moment, because we're all dealing with challenges, and I want to know so that I can help. Look, is it time? Is it training structure or recovery and energy? Remember, I read every single comment and I reply and build future videos around what you're struggling with the most. And if you're watching this thinking, do you know what? I know this is exactly what I need to be getting a hold of, a handle on. I just want the system and I want the accountability to execute it properly. Then here is your next step. Head over to my Instagram. My handle is the same as it is here on YouTube, Julian_Titanium, and DM me the number 21, literally just the number 21, and I'll send you the full breakdown of the Titanium Transformation Program. That incorporates the dual mechanism, how that actually works, how we get phenomenal results quickly that last. I'll send you through information about frequently asked questions, exactly what my coaching offer looks like, what's included, different investment options, and so on and so forth. And I'll show you some of the real client transformations inside the program so you can see exactly what's possible when you go all in with the right structure and support. Again, my handle is Julian_Titanium. You're not past your prime, you're past your undisciplined prime. Build the body, build the man, and everything else in life will rise to meet that new standard. I'll see you in the next one.